Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Falcon's Cosplay and today I have a new tutorial for you. Yes, if you're a LARP player or if you are a medieval reenactor or historical reenactor in general, you may find useful this video because I bring for you a tutorial about how to make medieval helmet lining. Of course, this is useful for all kind of medieval helmets, and it's especially useful if you are playing contact games because you can get hit on your head, and if your lining is not very good, then all the energy of the shock will transfer to your head, and that could be very painful. So also for comfort, it's very important to wear a proper padding. And that is it. My boyfriend just bought a medieval salad, and he asked me to craft a lining for him, and that's what I made. I tried to use kind of historical techniques and materials, but it's by no means an accurate reproduction. But that's it. I used linen. I used some hand stitching too, some beeswax for the threads, needles. It's mostly hand stitched, and it's of a thickness about 0.7 0.7 centimeters. So if you're willing to craft your own lining for a helmet, stay with me and let's go to watch it.
First of all, I had to go through a bit of research to see how padding was usually done back in medieval times, and as you can see in these pictures, it consists of a piece of fabric that is sewn to a leather strap, which is riveted to the helmet. The leather strap has some holes usually made before it's attached to the helmet, so take it into account for your case, because otherwise it will make things very difficult. The padding itself is usually made of a sequence of triangles with a slight curvature to fit the head's round shape. The structure consists of various layers of linen and wool batting, being the exterior ones of linen. Once the idea is clear, let's get to work. The first step is to make a pattern in paper. I made a few trials and placed them onto the helmet until I had a shape that I liked. You can see that I'm wearing gloves, but it's just to avoid staining the helmet with my hands. Sweat can turn into rust if you don't take care of it. Once you're satisfied with the paper pattern, it's time to transfer it to the fabric. I traced 8 plies of linen and another 8 plies of padding, but that depends on the space between your head and the helmet. In my case, the padding ended up being 0.7 centimeters thick once it was finished. Leave some allowance in 4 of the linen pieces that will serve as the outer layers, and cut the rest without seam allowance since they will work just as a filling. Next, sew the outer linen layers to create a pocket, leaving the lower seams open to be able to turn it inside out. Before doing this operation, be sure to cut the excess fabric. Make some notches in the corners as close to the seam as possible, but be careful not to cut too much. It is important to avoid wrinkles when turning the piece inside out. Separate the layers in pairs and flip the pocket inside out so the seams remain in the middle between the two middle linen layers. Once you have it, stack the other linen and batting layers alternatively so that you have a huge fabric sandwich. Then introduce it into the pocket and make sure they will fit properly. Now turn the open edges to the inside and close the seam by hand, using the stitch that you prefer. Just make sure it's strong enough. Next step is to sew some stitches to secure the lining and make sure it doesn't move and twist. I used the sewing machine for this, but it was quite tricky because of the thickness of the padding, so make sure your machine can handle it. If you're not sure, you can always go for a more historically accurate hand sewing. The fabric is ready and only eyelets are missing. I recommend you to watch a couple tutorials and make some trials if you didn't make embroidered eyelets before. If you have a tool for making metal eyelets, I guess you could also use it if you don't give much importance to historical looks. And it's time to attach the padding to the helmet. My advice is that you buy a lot of curved needles and a jar of patience if you find some. Make a knot in the end of the beeswax thread and sew through the lining until you reach the opposite side. Then introduce the needle inside one of the holes of the leather strap, and you can use some pliers to help the needle pass through the leather. Repeat this until you sew all the edge of the lining. Finally, pass a leather cord through the eyelets and tie a strong double knot. Adjust this to the side of your head and there you go.
So that's a wrap. I hope you found useful this tutorial, and if you have any other suggestions, as always, you can leave a comment or contact me in any ways by Instagram, by Twitter, by YouTube, whatever you prefer. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.